Okay, welcome to day two for me anyway. Steve Sr. is up. Steve Sr. had an interesting draft, and we know he had some bad luck. We know about Jordy, but that happened the day after the draft. So, as far as grading his draft, Jordy Nelson, it's as if he was never hurt. So that's how we're going to go with it. So quarterback, I have Sam Bradford, and I said at the draft, several people heard me say that I love the Sam Bradford pick. It looks like that's going to turn out to be a great pick. In fact, I'll just jump right to it. I think that was his best pick in the whole draft, and he got Bradford in the 7th round. So not only did he get Bradford, he took him early. The 7th round, I mean, Bradford in most drafts, especially at that time, was going in like the 13th. So he either knew something that most people didn't know, or I don't know what, but it was a pretty damn good pick. So I love that pick. That's great. What are you barking at? No. Okay, so quarterback ranked 9th. Running back, his running back core I have ranked 7th. That consists of Marshawn Lynch and Joseph Randle for his starters. Lynch is great. I put Lynch, I think out of the elite guys, let's see, you have Adrian Peterson, you have Jamal Charles, you have Eddie Lacy, you have Le'Veon Bell. Feel like I'm leaving someone out. DeMarco Murray maybe. But of all the elite guys, I put Lynch at the bottom for two big reasons. Number one, his just how many carries he's had over the last 4 years has been crazy. I'm sure, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm sure that he's had more than anyone. I can only assume. And then the second one, again, I've harped on this, 3 or 4 times so far just in these draft grades. But that division running against those other defenses, and he's also running against a first place schedule. So I don't know what the rest of the schedule looks like, but I'm sure there's going to be more really good defenses, especially run defenses, that he's going to be going against. Then on top of that, I guess it's actually 3 reasons. Jimmy Graham, he's going to take some of there's no way Lynch reaches the touchdowns that he had last year. I don't know what it was, but there's no way because Jimmy Graham's going to take some of those. I mean, that's why they brought him in. So I don't think Seattle suddenly scores, 10 more touchdowns. So that production is going to go down. So I'm not a big fan of Lynch. Even though I think he's great. I mean, if he fell to me in the 2nd round, yeah, I'll take him. But, in the 1st round where he went, it's just not for me. I think he went 7th overall. So, but I also understand why, people took him. I know most people love Lynch. The other one, Joseph Randle, I don't like that pick. I did not like that at the time. He took him in the 3rd round, the 31st overall player. I thought there was so many good players left on the board. And it was never said that Randle was the starter. In fact, it looks like McFadden might start, maybe. But the fact that we're even questioning that on a 3rd round pick is pretty bad. So I have Randle also as the worst pick. Just not a fan of that. We know McFadden's going to get hurt. But even if he does, you've got Lance Dunbar there. You've got other guys. I almost guarantee they're going to bring someone in. That's why I picked up Ahmad Bradshaw last night. I think that's the guy they're going to bring. I haven't heard that anywhere. That's just what I think. But whoever they bring in, there's going to be some kind of rotation and some kind of hot hand. You cannot have that with your 3rd pick. So I understand the offensive line is great, and that's what he was going after. Steve Sr. was going after, but I'm just not I'm not a fan of it. It may work out and maybe the best pick overall in the whole draft, but before the season starts, I don't like it. Wide receiver core, I have him ranked 5th. So the biggest reason for that is Jordy Nelson. Again, this was before Nelson got hurt, so Nelson is part of that team, and Jordy is great. He took Jordy as his 2nd pick, number 18 overall. So he's also got Andre Johnson, who I think is going to be a stud. I think he's going to catch a lot of touchdowns. I think he can catch 12 touchdowns this year. But I think he'll have kind of like a Martavis Bryant, or the year he was supposed to have before the suspension, like 10, 12 TDs, but like 700 yards receiving. So I think he's going to be a huge fantasy asset. And then Jeremy Maclin. I think Jeremy Maclin is a nice player. They're going to try and make him more than he is. They're trying to make him a possession receiver and also the deep threat, which is very odd. But he's not Randall Cobb. I mean, he's not Odell Beckham Jr. He's just not that guy, especially in our offense. Stevie and I went to the Rams and Chiefs game. Yes, it's the preseason. Yes, I understand they're not going to try and show their whole playbook. But the Chiefs did what the Chiefs do, which is dump off passes. And so I know Macklin's had a nice preseason, but with Alex Smith as your quarterback, it's just he's not going to have those elite fantasy numbers in Kansas City. In Philadelphia, like he did last year, yes. What are the odds that he has more touchdowns than he had, which I think was 10 in Philadelphia from last year? Pretty much zero. It's not going to happen. So I think J-Mac, I think his ceiling is 10, but most players don't reach their ceiling. So there's a chance, but I don't think a very good one. So I'm very lukewarm on J-Mac. But he makes up for that with the tight end, which is I ranked him third, which is Travis Kelce. They love going over the middle. I mean, J-Mac is going to open up the field for Kelce, and Kelce is going to, I think, has a very good chance to be in the second best tight end in the league this year. It's probably going to go to Jimmy Graham, but if he did it, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Kelce did that. So love that pick. So let me talk about his backups. For running back, he's got Christian Michael. I don't even think he's the backup. I think Robert Turbin is the backup to Lynch. But I understood he was taking the handcuff. David Johnson, I do like in Arizona. I don't know what to expect from him, but he is going to carve out a role for himself. And Brandon Oliver, which I think is just a wasted pick when he had Danny Woodhead there. Woodhead is going to get more action than people think. Oliver, unless someone gets hurt, isn't going to see much action. But to be fair, Oliver was also his last pick of the whole draft. So, I mean, he just kind of took a flyer, which is fine. A huge weakness, and he didn't know Jordy was going to get hurt, but he has no backup receivers. So right now he has, or as of the draft, I don't know what he's done since then, but Maclin and Andre Johnson, two guys that have an injury history, and Jordy is already out with no backups. That's not a good sign. And then he has Fleener to back up Kelce, and then Carson Palmer to back up Bradford. So Palmer's a very nice backup. I like that a lot. If you started Palmer, I wouldn't start him over Bradford, but if you did, you could do worse. So that's not bad at all. And I like Fleener, but Fleener has Dwayne Allen also in Indy. Those guys just kind of cancel each other out, in my opinion. So for his starters, though, you've got Sam Bradford, Marshawn Lynch, Joseph Randle, Andre Johnson, Jeremy Maclin, Jordy Nelson, and Travis Kelce. I mean, that's a very good starting squad. I gave his starters an A- because I think they're great. I think his bench is pretty bad. So I gave his bench a D. Excuse me. I think he's only got really one really good player in Palmer, and then question marks and some bad picks there, in my opinion. But his overall draft grade is very good. I gave him a B overall. And so B is good for the 4th seed in the playoffs. I think he has a playoffs team, and I think he finishes 8-5. Now, you have to remember, this was before the Jordy Nelson injury, and that's how I'm grading it. So since the Jordy Nelson injury, that's a totally different story, and it's just really bad luck. But as of just the draft grade, I gave him a B. So if I were doing that after the injury, that's it would not be a B. So just FYI, and it's really tough luck. I vote next year that we cannot do the draft that early for this reason. It's really, I understand everyone's schedule, but it's got to be done after week 3 of the preseason. So at minimum, we need to have like a 10-day window, or I guess a 7-8-day window after that 3rd preseason game when we're doing our draft next year. So, but we'll talk about that next year. So anyway, good draft by Steve Sr., and we're moving on to Paul next.